Hey guys, so I'm going to be showing you how to take your printed letter form and your cutout illustration board and transfer this letter form onto the front of your illustration board. Now, if you don't know how to cut this out, please refer to the other video that talks about how to cut it out properly. It should be 15 by 15 inches and your letter form should be 1200 point. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is make sure that the right side of my illustration board is up. The other side has kind of a gray tone to it, which may be hard to see in this video, but the correct side is white. So I want to make sure that the white side is up. So I'm going to take my sheet that has the letter form on it, and I'm kind of going to take note of where the letter form is on it. This is sort of helpful to do in a light box if you have that available to you, because you can flip it over or turn on the light box and you'll be able to see it on the other side. I don't know if you can see it, but I can actually see the ink through a little bit. So I want to take a pencil. I'm using a 4B, which works very nice. You want to make sure that your pencil lead is not too hard, otherwise it won't spread evenly. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to shade over the top of, it's the back side of the letter form, but I'm just shading where the letter form sits, especially the edges. So I'm going to go around like this, and I can see the edges because it's bleeding through the page. If you can't see it, use a light box because it will be much clearer to you. Go through, do that quickly. Okay, you want to go through and do the whole letter form. And you want it to be pretty heavy on the edges. Mine are a little loose because I'm trying to do this quick, but you want it to be kind of thick, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay, so I've kind of sketched in, and basically what I'm doing is I'm just putting a layer of graphite on here. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where the center of my illustration board is, and you can do this with a ruler to give yourself a little bit of a better idea, but you can kind of eyeball what it is. So if it's 15 inches across, the center is going to be 7.5. So I'm going to put a little mark there, and I'm also going to put, so 7.5. So your center is really going to be like right here. I have a eraser, and you want to try and just do the best you can of sort of figuring out where the center is. If you're having trouble, probably what I would do is just kind of cut out your letter form a little bit, just roughly around this, to get a better idea of where it is so that you can center it easier. So I don't want to cut into it, it's still there, but where am I going to be laying it on the sheet? And you can kind of stand up and look down and kind of get an idea of where that's going to be. Okay. I would also maybe look at what the bottom of my letter form is and kind of make that even. So with my eye, it's about 4¼ inches, and that's kind of the baseline I want to line it up on. So I'm just going from the bottom of the letter form to the bottom of the sheet of paper, and I got 4¼ inches. So probably what I do is I'd measure 4¼ inches all the way across, and very lightly with my pencil. If you're using a 4B, you might not want to use a 4B when you're drawing this line because they're a little harder to erase. Just really lightly, I would just kind of draw my baseline on there. Okay, and then maybe I would cut this. Okay, so the video got cut off for a second, but basically we were at, so I've drawn my baseline, and by the way, yours will not necessarily be at 4.25 inches from the bottom. If you have a letter G, the descender is going to go way down, and you're going to want it to sit up, maybe sit a little lower than the A. So you need to figure out what your baseline is depending on what your letter is. So now I've just kind of cut off the bottom just a little bit so that I can sort of see how that would go on my baseline, and just sort of have a frame of reference to make sure that my letter form is in the correct spot, and this line is sort of matching up with that, just kind of getting oriented. So then what you want to do is, now that you have it set up properly and it's on there, you want to hold it down. If you're nervous about holding it down, I would maybe get a little piece of tape. Masking tape is good because it's not that sticky, because you don't want to put tape down and then have it pull up pieces of your illustration board. So I'm just going to put that down just so that I know that that's my positioning. Okay? And then I'm going to take my pencil, and remember we put the graphite on the back, so there's now coating on there, and I'm going to actually go on this letter form, and I'm going to press down hard. I'm just going to draw right along the edge of the letter form. I'm going to press down pretty hard, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to go kind of slow because I want it to be pretty accurate. So you'll see what's happening if I peel this back is, I hope you can see that on the video, but there's a light line happening that's actually, so you're transferring exactly what you're pressing down on. So you want to just keep going with your whole letter form, just pressing pretty hard, not so hard that you're making a dent in the illustration board, but enough that the graphite's going to come through. So again, you want to make sure, and you want to go pretty slow. I'm going kind of fast because I don't want you guys to have to watch me for forever, but you want to go slow and be pretty accurate, because it will make it a lot easier when you're drawing this letter form with your pens. Okay, so I'm going to go, and you can see I'm kind of going off the edge a little bit. You don't want to do that. You want to really be right along the black edge of your printout, and don't forget your counter space in here. Okay. Okay, so you should have your whole letter form on there, and when I pull this off, you can see I have a really light drawn transfer of my letter form. So probably what I would do is just kind of go in and erase the pieces that I don't need. So I don't really need my baseline anymore, and I don't need that center marking. I just need around this letter form. So that's all you need to do for part one. If you want to, you can kind of go in with your pencil and very lightly make those lines just a little bit more connecting, depending on how solid your graphite line was and how much you drew in. It may be a little choppy for pieces where they're a little bit more spaced apart. So you just want to make sure that there's a clear line on there. Keep this safe, because if it rubs on other things, your transfer will rub right off. And so bring this into class, and we will move forward with the pen application of making this a little bit more permanent.